Alright, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the 5-part series. If you caught all 5 parts, I appreciate that. I really do. But we are going to go ahead and wrap this project up. First and foremost, I want to thank Sam over at Sam Knives for putting on this build-off. This was a great project to kind of get back in the swing of things going into the fall foraging season. Like I said in the very first video, I had taken about a month hiatus just because of the heat and trying to get some stuff done around the house here that needed to get done. So jumping back into the swing of things with a project like this just kind of gets all the juices flowing again, and it was perfect timing for me to jump back in and get started on another big project. So I'm going to thank Sam Towns for having the build off. Secondly, I want to thank Bobby Shields. Bobby Shields actually sent me the handle material I used. It's been a little while ago, and I hope Bobby didn't think I forgot about it, but I did not forget about it. I was saving it for something special, and I think this project was something special. So yeah, thank you, Bobby, for the handle material that you sent me. It worked out great, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And on a special project like this that's going to be seen worldwide, yeah, thank you very much. I think it really complemented everything that I did right. Thirdly, I would like to thank my dad over at Leather Mule. He actually sourced this metal for me, the 1070, that actually wound up working out pretty decent. So, you know, thanks for getting me that steel. I actually went online looking to order some steel, and nobody really had anything in stock, believe it or not, for the type of steel that I wanted to make this with. And I had gotten this steel quite a while ago, and really didn't do much with it. I knew it was a lower carbon steel, and I mean, it has its uses, and I think the use that I use it for is going to serve this project well. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and show off what we wound up with, and then we're going to talk about what I like and what I don't like. So I'm going to critique this as if I was judging this knife, and I'm going to critique it honestly. If this brings up something that no one else notices, then so be it. It's fine. I am my hardest critic, so I guess I really don't particularly care what other people think, because I feel like I criticize myself more than anyone else probably could. So I would say that. Having said that, let's go ahead and show you what we wound up with. So this is the buoy, and I guess it's just like any other buoy, but this is how it turned out. I'm just trying to get you some shots here. I have some photographs that we're gonna do a slideshow after I get done running my mouth, but just kind of get you some quick peeks. All right, so let's start picking it apart. Okay, I'll go with the positives first. I'm extremely happy I was able to take the handle material that I got from Bobby Shields and use it in a hidden tang orientation. In other words, I was able to drill through the entire piece of handle material, and this is all one piece handle. It's not two pieces glued together or anything like that. It's all one piece, one solid piece, and I was extremely happy with the penetration and the voids in the burl that allowed that extra color to really seep down in there. So, yep, handle is A+ for me as far as I'm concerned. The D-guard, I kind of thought I would wanted to do a D-guard. I don't know how many other people are doing D-guards, but I thought D-guard might stand the knife a little bit above and beyond what maybe other people were doing, because D-guard is, it's almost like forging two knives. So I forged out the knife, and then we had to forge out the D-guard, and both were pretty much projects in their own right. So I'm kind of happy that I went with a D-guard. It took a lot of extra work, took a lot of extra time, but I think in the end, the payoff is worth it. Pommel. The pommel's a pommel. This is just a matter of design. You know, if you like to design, great. If you don't like to design, oh well. But it's basically just basically a nut and a pin to lock everything together. So I think all in all, it flows with the handle, and it actually, the design I put in it with the chisel, and yeah, I'm happy with it. So. And that's basically just, it's all aesthetics really. As long as it fits and there's no gaps and it flows with the handle, you know, that's pretty much all its job is. So the pommel's a pommel. It was about a half a day's work. The blade, I think the blade turned out spectacular in some aspects. The grinding, actually, it all started with the forging. The forging, everything was pretty much center of the ricasso. The plunge lines on both sides look really good. And the grinding for the clip point, the false edge on the top, actually turned out really nice. All the lines on the blade from one side to the other, whether they be the top lines on the clip point or the plunge lines or the bevel lines on the cutting edge, I mic'd them, and on both sides they're pretty dang close. I mean, yeah, they're actually really close, within like just a few hundredths of an inch. So I'm really happy with the way the forging went. It set up a very nice grind. I did not spend a lot of time on the grinder with this knife, and I think, if I remember correctly, I knocked the scale off with a worn out 60 grit belt, and I think I did some bevel work with a used 60 grit belt, but majority of the grinding to bringing it into this finish was with a brand new 120 grit belt. So yeah, this thing was not on the belt sander for very long. Although after the heat treat, I did go back to the belt sander, and there's a reason for that I'll talk about. So this is when we're going to start to get into the negative stuff. On a positive note, when I clayed it up, everything went well. I thought the mortar that I used was going to work out really well, because during the heat treat it didn't want to come off, and it seemed like it was sticking really nice. But unfortunately, during the heat treat, not being familiar with this steel, I'm thinking I could have just stopped right there and everything would have been fine. I quenched it in water, quenched it in oil. It had the clay on it, everything went well. But in my mind, it just didn't feel as hard as what it should have felt. Maybe it didn't harden that first time, I don't know. It felt like the file was biting into it quite a bit. And that could have been maybe because the steel was still hot, but I just did not feel good about the heat treat. And that's when I went back for a second heat treat, and actually saw a difference in the hardness, and also induced a warp. Not a warp, but a bend. The blade actually bent. It bowed. So at that point, and that was pretty much almost a straight water hardening on that second quench, and then to the oil. But it was well below critical just using the water. I was actually using the oil just kind of as a temper, because at that point the oil was kind of already hot. It probably had to be at least 300 degrees. But so with the warp in it, or the bend, it had a bend in the blade and it had a ripple on the edge after the second heat treat. So I put it back in the forge for a third time and straightened everything back up, normalized it, straightened it, took the ripple out of the edge the best I could, and I did a third heat treat on this blade, and it seemed like everything went pretty well. But at that point, most of the clay had fallen off of the knife, and I really didn't know how the hamon was going to turn out. And I almost, if the hamon didn't come out at all, I would have had to scrap this blade and start it on another blade. Or I don't know what I would have done. Maybe I could have normalized it again, reclayed it, and started over, but I really don't know what I would have done. But after the third heat treat, I cleaned up the blade. I tempered it in the oven. I tempered it at a pretty low temperature, like 375. And then I took it to the ferric chloride, and I let it sit in there for a bit, pulled it out, and I actually saw a difference in how the acid was actually affecting the metal surface. So at that point, I knew I had at least a differential hardening, but what I didn't know is how defined it would be, whether it would be seen, and what it would look like. So to make a long story short, I just kind of rolled with it. I just hand sanded everything out, got it to an 800. No, what did I do? Was it an 800? No, I think I did an 800 grit finish, a good solid 800 grit finish. But I did come back with some 1500 after I started doing some etching cycles. So started in the ferric chloride. I saw, a differential in how it was affecting the metal, like I said before. Didn't really like the color. I thought maybe I could darken it up with some coffee. So I did try a coffee etch, and right out of the coffee, it did look pretty good. Problem is coffee didn't etch it deep enough to keep that contrast when I tried to clean everything up and buff it back out. It's like as soon as you started to buff it, you just basically wiped it off. So then I went back to a combination of the lemon juice that Sam Towns actually recommended in his hamon video, and that seemed like it was really starting to bring the hamon out really nice. So I did a combination of lemon juice, wiping it on, etching it, buffing it off, and then I would bring it outside and do a ferric chloride dip just to try and get a more aggressive etch on it, and then I'd go back to the lemon and just kind of start over. And I just kind of messed around with that. It's just a series of etching and buffing and etching and buffing until I got something that was visible. And when I say visible, you can see it, but I think this is going to be probably my Achilles heel. This is probably where I'm going to probably lose a lot of points, if there are such things as points in this, I don't know. But yeah, my hamon is very fuzzy, so I don't have that clear defined line between hard, not so hard, and then soft. So I don't know all the metallurgical terms, so I'm not gonna pretend to act like I know them. So it's hard, medium, soft is what I'm gonna call it. But I think that's probably going to be my Achilles heel as far as how this thing is going to be judged by Sam and probably among my peers. But technically it does have a hamon, and pretty much all I was relying on was the difference in the thickness of the metal versus how long I had it in the water. So we will have to see. Like I said in the video, I can't remember which video it was, is with a knife like this that has many grind lines and they all meet. I really don't like the moans on these knives anyways. They kind of conflict with all the lines and the flow of the knife, you know. But having said that, it's not up to me. It was actually, the Hamon was actually part of the competition, and the original Hamon was supposed to be just under the bevel line here and just under the clip line here. So it was pretty much going to be on the flats with a little bit of dips down into the bevel is what I was going for. So there is a differential heat treat here. It's not as drastic as probably what I'm thinking Sam would want to see. And we'll see what he thinks, see what he says, and if he says anything. But just go from there. This is what I'm going to submit. Technically, it's in there. He asked me if I'm happy with how it turned out. As far as the Hamon goes, I'm just talking about. I mean, I was happy enough to keep going with the project, so I'll just leave it there. But all in all, I mean, the fit and the fitment turned out really nice. I did seat the front of the guard, the back of the guard, and the back of the handle. I usually do this on all my Hidden Tangs knives. The inside of the tang I seated with epoxy when I put it together. 2-stage, just clear, you know, high bond epoxy. But in the front, I always use JB Weld here, here, and here. And that's pretty much just because JB Weld's gray. So any kind of squeeze out is basically just gonna waterproof these areas to prevent moisture from getting in there and cause them like rust from seeping out. Because it had a pretty much a gap-free finish, but moisture and water can get in there and it'll start to rust. So if you look in here, you might see a little tiny bit of JB Weld's squeeze out, and it's just a tiny bit, if any. If this is going to be used, it would eventually just wear off anyways, but my idea is just to keep moisture out. It's really not doing anything as far as like hiding any gaps or anything, because it really didn't have any gaps. But here it is. Project is all done. I guess all in all, it took me around a month's time just working on it during the weekends and doing some hand sanding and some stuff that's really not critical as far as how it might affect the build after work. I didn't do anything that was critical or important after a work day. I didn't want to come home and just mess everything up. So I pretty much just worked on this thing on Saturdays and Sundays ever since he announced the contest. So, and I finished up about a week early, which is fine. I have no problems with that. I'd rather get done a week early than crunch time. So all in all, if I had to rate this thing, I guess I'd give it a B+. I really wish to Hamon. But I really prepped the mud and everything, and everything stuck on there so nice, and the mud cured really nice. And when I started heating it up in the forge, it wasn't falling off and doing all the crazy stuff like it always wants to. It just seems like everything was going so well during the heat treat until I actually went to harden it, and it just didn't feel like it hardened. So at that point, I felt like the wheels came off a little bit, but you know, we made a pit stop, put the wheels back on, and kept going. So I'm gonna stop babbling. I've been talking for quite a while, but yep, this is the build. This is my entry, and stay tuned for more projects coming up. I think I'm gonna donate this knife to another channel. We have another channel that is quickly approaching 5,000 subs. It's Bar Run Forge. Really good guys over there, so I think during their 5,000 sub, when they make 5,000 subs, they'll probably do some sort of giveaway. So I'm going to donate this to their channel, and hopefully when they reach 5,000, they'll do a giveaway and be a little bit of a not a raffle, but I got, what do you call it? It's basically just a random selection in a live chat where somebody could potentially win this. So don't be surprised if it turns up over there, and so keep your eyes peeled with them. If you're not already subscribed to Bar Run Forge, that's BARRUN Forge. So I don't do that as good as they do, but yeah, check out Bar Run Forge. It's BARR and then Run RUN Forge. So I'm pretty sure everybody subscribes to me is probably subscribed to them as well. But if you're not, go over there and get them to 5,000, and they can get this out the door to I guess a needy home, I guess you could say. But yeah, with that, I'm going to shut up, and I got a slideshow ready to go, and just shows all the pictures from the entire build. And yeah, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Check me out on Etsy. I just listed up a little small hammer there. You can also check me out on Instagram, YouTube, and Rumble, of course, which is where you're watching this now. And yeah, enjoy the slideshow. Oh yeah, P.S. I forgot to mention, Sam is the overall judge for all the place winners, but I do believe there's going to be a Viewer's Choice Award, so get over to Sam Towns, and I don't know if you have to subscribe, but you should at least go over there and subscribe if you're interested in knives and stuff. But go over to Sam Towns, throw him some love, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and he will have a video of all the other contestants, and then I think you're going to have the opportunity to vote on Viewer's Choice. So get over to Sam Towns Knives, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and that way you won't miss the video where you can cast your vote on who made the best Bowie knife. So again, that left out the most important part. So alright, yeah, check out Sam Towns. Thanks, Sam. This was great. It was fun. And yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy the slideshow.